Mercedes Mone, and I'm just picking one quote from her, whatever she does, this Mone mag. This girl, I really don't want to come off as like a super hatred filled person, so I don't hate her. I just think she's a little bit, as the kids say, delulu. And delulu, and this is the epitome of that. Okay, so she was talking about how she promises another disruption to the business of women's wrestling, and she says that this is what she said. Britt, me, and the rest of the girls are just getting started. Yes, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky, and I led phase 1 of the women's revolution. We disrupted the business in the best and most necessary way. But with me coming here to the AEW, I promise that another disruption to the business of women's wrestling is coming. Phase 2 is just getting started. On that note, there are 3 women's matches at All In this Sunday. 3. When Mania was one night, how many women's matches were there? Not 3. Moreover, when the guys' matches went too long in WWE, it was the women's matches that got cut for time. The unnecessary shots to WWE is just tiresome. I'm over it. We get it, girl. You didn't enjoy your time in WWE, but we're also like, it's just not necessary to bring up stuff that happened years ago. Okay, we're how many years has it been that we've had 2 nights of WrestleMania? Why are you talking about stuff of when it was one night? Why are we still talking about that? Also,
yeah, it's not even one night. It's kind of 2. We remember
what
we did it.
It is not kind of 2. It is 2.
Okay, that's okay.
Is that just a saying?
I was just making kind of a joke.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get it.
Okay.
My apologies. Anyway, so I'm glad that she believes that AEW is the place to be if you're a women's wrestler. I think that's argumentative to say, because I think the women's division has specifically been one of their more problematic areas of their show, as we've talked about before, where the women are not being utilized, blah, blah, blah. Hence why there's been women that were complaining that they weren't being used, yada, yada. But it's also like the idea that she's somehow going to be responsible for this like revolution in wrestling again, as if women's wrestling needs it. That is bonkers to me. Like, you can say that that's what you're trying to do in AEW, because as we've said, the AEW women's division has been criticized, not because there's a lack of talent. It's because of the lack of proper storytelling, the lack of usage, that kind of stuff that is not in their control. So I'm not criticizing the women that are there. You can say that you want to change the landscape of the women's division in the company that you're with, but to act as if the women's division, like in general, women's wrestling in general, needs your saving is weird to me, because women's wrestling is thriving. Last I checked, like TNA is killing it. WWE is having fantastic women's matches. NXT,
the indies are crushing it.
I would say that what the 4 horsewomen did was incredible for the time, and obviously there's been hills and valleys since then. It's not their fault necessarily. We know how things are in wrestling companies. Vince McMahon also was never really a big fan of women's wrestling. We know that. So again, it's not blaming them. It's not a talent issue, but there is no issue right now. Like, are there times where I feel like, oh man, I wish Triple H would put more women's matches on the card for this show or on this episode of Raw? Yeah, but is there a problem with like the talent is not there or whatever? No, that's not the case. That was the case with the first women's revolution. We were tired of the Nikki Bellas, the Kelly Kellys. Like, we were tired of those girls. We wanted them to be given more time, more proper storylines, and have more legitimate women's wrestlers. So to me, it's just a very confusing idea that she's trying to put out there. Like, I don't know if maybe I'm speaking crazy, but I just felt like this was weird. It felt very like egotistical of her to say, as if she's some sort of savior of women's wrestling, but it also feels like you're downplaying the talent that's out there, and like you are the sole, like the most talented women in all of women's wrestling. That's kind of how it feels like it could be interpreted, you know?
It does. I am just making banner change here. But yes, I agree.
Okay. I know I kind of went off on a rant, but
no, you did, and this is why we have the Thursday.
I think it just
show.
shows you the type of person that Mercedes is. I mean, there's a reason why she felt like she deserved to be paid the most money out of every woman. Like, there's a reason why she wanted it to be Becky Lynch money.
Yeah, Dickie, you're so right, dude. Like,
yes,
I was going through NXT before the show, and the gauntlet match came on, and I stopped what I was doing. I saw my niece and nephew here. My nephew's like, Pat, let's go play hockey. I went, no, hold on. Uncle Pat's had a rough day. I want to watch this. And we sat down and we watched that gauntlet match, and it was awesome.
Well,
like NXT is thriving in women's talent, and that's not the main roster. Like,
well, but if you even look at Raw, one of the main dominating stories on Raw every single week is Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. There are other factors that are becoming part of it as well. The Judgment Day, the Terror Twins, all of that. But the main focus for the past however many months, even when Rhea wasn't around, was Liv Morgan being the women's world champion. So I'm not saying like, that Triple H has been perfect with the women's division and that whatever. Obviously we've criticized the women's tag division and all this other stuff. So there's plenty of work to be done. But I don't think that we are in the same situation that we were in 2013 or whatever it was when they had the women's revolution. We're not anywhere near
that. We're not even close to that anymore.
her like implying that we are at that point that she needs to be like the savior is just weird to me, and it's kind of disrespectful.
Ego. That's what I think.
Exactly.